Hey man, I bet you can't get the basketball in with this bad boy.
Just watch me.
No! The art of Tengami is beyond stunning. From the watercolors to the Japanese style and pop-up book aesthetic, it oozes beauty and tranquility. But in some ways, the fun does end there. Tengami is as art house as games come. There are puzzles that show the game's iPad roots, but they are almost unnecessary and menial hurdles that only serve to stop you. This is then further compounded by a slow walking speed. If you played the game and told us it was a scenic dawdle and not in the slightest an entertaining game, we wouldn't argue with you. To enjoy Tengami, you need to be relaxed, or alternatively, it could help you chill out. Patience is also required for the interpretive narrative that calls upon the player to experience and make sense of what's around them. For us, this was both good and bad. At times, Tengami was a very contemplative and zen experience, almost as if we were leading the nameless soldier character and ourselves on a trip into the unknown to find meaning of everything. On the other hand, it irritated because there were a lack of tangible things to guide the player in understanding the game. For instance, we preferred Gone Home, where there were more things to interact with and let the player develop a detailed perception of what had happened that was very much their own. If passive games aren't your thing, it is best you stay away from Tengami, but if you do, this is a blissful experience at the very least.
The Sydney-based Daniel Linson is quickly becoming one of our favourite independent developers, with Sandstorm being the second game of his to appear in our top 5 after The Sun and the Moon did in November. Sandstorm is distinctively Linson as seen in the minimalist pixel art as well as a similarly minimalist gameplay, which has this time been applied to a pilgrimage through a hazardous desert. The aim is to reach the fittingly titled Mount Distant, that in the haze of a sandstorm seems beyond reach. You have a compass to guide you and a camel to pull you along. But when night descends, the pair disobediently run off together, forcing you to go find them in the raging sandstorm. You have 5 sticks to track your route, but even with them it's very easy to get lost when you stray from your cart. The journey through the sands is lonely and repetitive, but there is something very potent, gripping and satisfyingly ritualistic about it. You can find Sandstorm on itch.io for a minimum of $3.
Mega Baseball is an arcade baseball game. As a matter of technical fact, Super Mega Baseball was actually released in December, but who cares for technicalities, right? What we care about is how by stripping baseball of all its well-known teams and an endless selection of modes seen in the annual console simulations of the sport, it lets the game of baseball itself shine. You can just pick up and play, and for Australians like us who have no clue about baseball, that is vital. Not to mention, the mechanics are really solid and reward skill. Another thing that shouldn't be undervalued is a lack of realism in the game. When the cartoon characters of Super Mega Baseball get a mojo boost from being sent on a celebrity date, it's just good silly fun. When 5 real players are complaining about a lack of playing time on your team in NBA 2K when they wouldn't in real life, it is just frustrating. When you go all out on being realistic, the little cracks show up big and ruin the experience. By not taking itself so seriously, Super Mega Baseball just lets you have fun. It's the NBA Jam of baseball.
Our number 1 game for January is Gravity Ghost, and it's beautiful. This physics game has you hop through planets in a 2D galaxy that in all makes you feel like you're exploring a hand-painted children's picture book. The physics, which are really tight, mostly pertains to the gravitational pull of the planets, challenging the player to work out the force necessary to launch from one planet to the next. Iona, the ghost girl you control, is extremely agile, and this combined with there being no deaths gives all the power to the player like only a few games manage to do. The story is also worth talking about. Without giving too much away, it reaches some equally touching and morbid territory that is in particular achieved via looking back at memories of lost animal spirits. A first playthrough of Gravity Ghost will take you about 3 to 4 hours, and then there is some replay value in completing all the achievements. If this little peek at Gravity Ghost has piqued your interest, don't hesitate to check it out. Some of you indie game connoisseurs may have noticed that Life is Strange was missing from this list.
And the reason for this was that the game was released right at the end of the month before we made this video.
However, we will be more than making up for it with a Life is Strange review that you can expect to see within the next week.
Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's Lawrence.
And my name's Josh. We'll see you next time here on Indieformer. Take a look straight. Have a look.
Dang it! Whoa! Didn't see that coming! Whoa! How'd you do that? Whoa!